This is episode 14 of today's Plea. I'm here with, some would call him the godfather of country music in this area, and I'm very honored to have this legendary country music artist and singer and songwriter. I was really nervous to ask you to be on the podcast with me, and before I ever even mentioned it, of course, I called your sons Cole and Josh, be like, "Hey, what do you think? Do you think you think he would come on with me or whatever?" And they're like, "You never know with him. You better just call him." So finally, I asked, and immediately you said, "Yeah, Joe, what do you want me to talk about?" And it's an honor. I have the legendary Austin Stewart. How are you, Austin?
I'm doing good, Joe. I'm such a glory goat. If you'd had it to it, I would have suggested, why don't you have me on?
Well, it's, I know that you had made a run at it and had a ton of success. And of course, I've got I had your songs on tape. I don't know if I'd probably stolen the tape from Cole. I had a cassette tape of it or something. I don't know. He might have gave it to me, but I had that, and then I don't know where that tape went, but I bought it on Google Play.
I paid a lot of good money to get all them tapes raked up, together. I made driveway fill for. No, they're actually rare. There's a few left. I think Jackie Stewart had told me one time he still got a copy, but that's.
Did you ever do a vinyl?
Yeah, we did. Actually, I did two. One of them was really a story behind it. I don't even remember what song that I did on the A side of that thing, but it had Gone at Last on the B side. It became the B side. It was originally intended to be the A side. But Kenny Coke sang the song wherever we went in performances at clubs and stuff. He was the one that sang. I sung back up to him in the song. Well, the man that owned White Oak Gun Club said, "I'll pay for it if you guys record that song." Well, of course, you got an A and a B side. Well, I was going to do one on the B side.
He said the key word, pay. So
right.
That was the key.
Well, if they didn't, you didn't do it then. But he agreed to it, so we went and recorded it. Of course, when we come back, he said, "Who's singing that?" I said, "Kenny's singing it." He said, "Why is Kenny singing it?"
He said, "I paid you to sing it."
That's what it amounted to. And I said, "He's always sung it." And he just went off, And of course, that's about all the story that one amounted to.
You don't still have any of the records?
Oh, Lord, no. Those are long gone.
Anybody out there listening, if somebody would have one of those records.
That was back. Lord, I'm 73 years old. I don't remember how long ago that was. It was way back there, though.
Yeah. Vinyl is making a comeback.
Yeah.
It's like a kind of a vintage, cool kind of thing. Yeah. People, they like that sound. And
don't you figure it's just going to be kind of a fad deal?
Yeah, probably.
Might be some you get some collector's items out of it.
Right.
Hang on to it.
But they're actually have some factories are pressing the vinyls out. They're manufacturing.
I've heard that the people. I ain't never had a sound for instrumental music anyway, or an ear for it much, because I've seen musicians almost fight over the sound that come out of the exact same amplifiers set side by side. One of them will say, "Mine's doing so-and-so, and this one's doing so." He put some kind of tube in his, that ain't in this other one. And they literally fight over it. And I'm thinking, man, they ain't no different.
I know, it's tough for me. Yeah.
Anyway.
I know when it's good. I just know it's good.
Well, that's true.
But when it's good, it's going to be good out of that one, and it'll be good out of that one, too.
I don't know when you're doing it right, but I do know when you're doing it wrong. Yeah. I can spot that. So I guess that's about all that matters.
Well, family. How's your family? You got kids and grandkids and
got a whole bunch of them. I got something. We quit naming them and just went to numbering them. No, I got 11 grandkids, 2 biological boys, and 5 kids that are all my kids just as much as the biological boys was too.
Mm-hmm.
I come by that out of the Lord book. It said, you know, if you're going to take on something, take it on. And that's what I tried to do with the stepkids.
That way you whip them just like you whipped your own, right?
Absolutely. You stripe them bottoms the same way, either way. But I love every one of them immensely, you know, and they're done really good for themselves. Everybody's healthy. My wife's doing great. She loves me, I think, sometimes. And life just couldn't be better for no man, you know.
You know, I talked to Cole the other day, and it was when I seen he was moving out there, I was a little envious, but because I'd been out there to visit, you know, my son's going to go to school there, and I just love going through those hills and all that. And he said that, you know, at some point they might move back, and he said that his daughters were actually a little worried about moving back here because they knew when they moved there, they would always come back and see their friends here. But now the friends that they've made there, they feel like if they move back here, we'll never come back and see those guys there. Yeah. But I was telling him that's a good thing, I think, for your kids to have to just pack up and go somewhere they're uncomfortable with. That little bit of uncomfort, you know, my kids moved from Searcy School to Pangburn School, and I just saw it just did something for them. You know,
makes life fuller for you. You learn from that, you know, and learning to adapt to almost anything is a good thing always. You know, no matter what the situation is, if you get thrown into something you're not expecting, then you got some idea
you
how
stretch
to, yeah,
because you
how
stretch.
to get out. You be flexible enough to get out of it. You know, which it's a good thing. I felt really sorry for them when they moved away because they were sad, especially Macy. She's the oldest in entering her teens, you know, and she's really bad skeptical of what.
It won't be the same. It's over. It's over.
My life's done. But she's pulled right through. She's doing really, really good, you know. And,
now, Cole was telling me that he's got them in music. He's and then they love it.
Absolutely.
That's got to tickle you.
It does. They, of course, he and I disagree on everything musically anyway, but Macy's a mandolinist. I guess that's the way you'd say that. She
plays a heck out of a mandolin.
Yeah. And Sadie plays ukulele, and they have gone to parks around the Washington D.C. area, you know, and sit up and play and put their cup out. And they've actually made some money playing for. They got another little girl that's a friend of theirs that I don't really know what she plays, but she goes with them, and they all sit up and have a good time with it. They really enjoy it. You know? Just to have that confidence to do that. Yeah, music, you know this as well as I do. Music is just as a pastime. Is a super duper great thing.
Oh.
You know, you get yourself out of a lot of message just by sitting down with an old guitar and singing a couple of songs. You know, the world changed.
Luke Williams said it at the very beginning of our interview. He said a songwriter never has to go to therapy.
No,
he don't need no therapy. He'll work it out. He'll work it out.
You write it out on paper. You know, even if it don't go anywhere. You know, you've gone through the process. You can look back at it if you want to, or throw it in the trash. If you want to. I've
written a lot of songs, and what I always say about them, I'll like put that stack out there, and I say, hey, that stuff right there ain't good enough for nothing but playing. It ain't good enough for nothing but playing. That's all it's good for.
Sure enough. I wish I knew how many songs I've written over time. I let a good quote unquote friend of mine. I lent him the book. You know, he was going to Nashville, was going to stay there for a while. And I said, well, if this do you any good, take them, you know, and do whatever you want to with them. He never got them back. And I had, like the idiot I am, never made copies of all those. They were just raw songs, you know, that I had written. And they're gone. But if I would sit down, I don't even know what I could think of.
I'll get you a notepad and lay it on your desk. And every time you think of one, write it down. Eventually, you might write some of them down twice, but that'd be okay.
Some of them were really good songs, I thought, you know. And when you're in the business long enough, you get to where you recognize a song, whether it's good or not, you know, whether it's got enough potential to be something. And usually you could tell who it would appeal to. You know, you can write a song and say, well, this should get this crowd, you know, or this one should get this crowd. But I kept them. I encountered Nashville, and they wanted everything. They wanted to get you to give them everything. You know, you have no rights to nothing. We'll give you back what part of this we want you to have. And I said, no, that's not going to get it. And I saw the amount of money that's made in the publishing business just to get a song published, how much the publishing company makes out of that. Because generally they're going to take at least 95% of the money and then give the songwriter the dribble that are left. It's all covered up in the contract when the law says that the writer gets X percentage of the gross or whatever part it is, and they would just take it. So I never would let them have mine. I was just stubborn enough just to ride right on through. Now I had a few ones you've heard, that were published.
Now,
I did that on my own.
How old were you when you started playing the guitar and singing songs?
I sung in public the first time when I was 16 years old at the White County Fair.
So when did you pick up a guitar first?
Oh, Lord.
Did somebody in the family have one, or did you?
My oldest brother did. His name was Joe, too, by the way.
Okay.
And he got an old guitar someplace and sit down with me one time and showed me how to pick the wildwood flower.
Oh. So that was your first song to pick on?
That was the first thing that I played. Of course, it was a very crude version of the wildwood flower. But I played it, and I began to try to sing. And then I self-taught myself to chord the guitar and play, the chords and whatnot, and the changes and stuff, because there wasn't no one around to do it. He'd moved off. He was 9 years older than me.
The internet was down.
Oh,
couldn't get us.
I couldn't get the internet up, YouTube's out. But I took off just doing it, just singing around. I'd go with my kids or my friends. At that time, what we call Dairy Queens were the place where kids hung out, the little fast food joints, what they call them now.
Where?
But in the A&W root beer place in Searcy was.
Oh, I know where it is.
You know where it was?
The pizza. It's a pizza place now.
Yeah, there was Guys Drive-In out at the Kensett Y there in the Pit Barbecue place. Well, actually, it wasn't a Pit Barbecue place then; it was a burger joint. Right across, I'm thinking if I got this right, it was just east across Ray Street and just east of White County Hospital on the south side of the road. There was the Pit. Well, that was a big deal. They had car hops and had actually a dance area in the back with a jukebox outside, and that was, of course, every one of them places did that except the A&W. But we hung out there. That was a big deal. So I had an old friend, Romy Davidson. I don't know if you ever heard that name or not. He's crazier than I am. I know that's really hard to take, but he was an absolute nut. But he could sing and whatnot. And he and I would take that old guitar and go to these places and sit around and sing songs and draw the girls around. They come around, some of them.
So you had one guitar and you just
guitar
share my turn. Hey, give me my turn.
Yeah. No, he didn't play.
He didn't play. Okay.
I just beat around there and thrashed on it, and did what I could. My first dollar in the business, now this is important, I got paid to not sing. The guy said, no, wait a minute, I've misstated that altogether. It turned out not sing. That's incorrect. We were out at a little Dairy Queen in BB on the old highway through there. And Romy and myself and some other friends were off out at the edge of the parking lot with the guitar, and we're singing. Well, everybody come out there. They come out where we was at, all ganged up around the car. Well, the owner of the place come up here and said, I'll give you $1 a piece to get up on top. Said, you're drawing my business off. Well, that was the not singing part. That was what I was thinking when he did that. But he said, if you get up on top of this thing and sing, I'll give you $1 a piece. So we did. We got up on the top.
What was it? What was it?
What are you running to the place?
No, the thing you're getting up on top of.
It was a little Dairy Queen, little burger joint.
You had to get on top of the building?
Yeah, we climbed up on top. Of course, the building was a little,
right.
You're old enough to remember how small they were. Yeah. Well, this had a flat front with neon lights all across it there and had a semi-flat roof, and we got up there. I don't know, we probably didn't do 2 songs, before we got down and got our $1. But
you didn't have a PA mic.
No, but I had confused that in my head about him paying. He did literally pay us not to, because that was
not out there.
Over here. You come over here with it. But we had a super good time in that.
And how old were you then?
Somewhere between 16 and 20, somewhere in there.
You went home that night on cloud nine, didn't
Lord,
you?
Yeah. Well, every time I did that, I sung them. I won't ever forget the first time I ever sung my girlfriend. I ain't gonna tell you who it was, but you know, and she really enjoyed it, you know. And I thought, man, I've got this made. Let me go back here and tell you how I got in this business, okay? When I was 4 years old, I think, I may have possibly been 5, my family moved into this little old two-room with a lean-to house that had no electricity in it. And my dad had one of them old charcoal battery radios. You know what I'm talking about? The battery was had charcoal cells in it, and that's what that radio run off. We didn't have no electricity. You know, I think the thing was a Philco or something.
Because it didn't need much power. I mean,
he turned that thing on 5 minutes in the evening when he come in. The news come on at 6 o'clock. He turned that radio on 5 minutes to listen to the news. That's as long as it went, you know. And then on Saturday night, he turned on 6 o'clock and listened to Grand Ole Opry till midnight. He run that the whole time during there. Well, I went back in there, and I know.
And you're 4, so this 4. Is 45,
48.
48,
48.
Okay.
Well, I'd lay in that bedroom, you know. Of course, 6 o'clock at night, ain't nobody going to go to sleep unless you're a chicken. But he all put us in the bed. The whole family was in the bed, you know, and except him and mother, and they were in the living room, of course, listening to Grand Ole Opry. And I'd lay back in that bedroom and listen to people sing. I thought, man, if I could do that. I'm talking about 4 or 5 years old now. That is unheard of. I'm listening to that. And I thought, that's the greatest thing it ever was, you know. That's what I want to do. That's where I want to get. Well, of course, that dream melts, you know, as you get older. You quit thinking about stuff like that, you know. And
but then that guitar showed up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I remember when they put electricity in that old house, too. They come in one end with a wire and run it dangled over to the next wall and put a drop socket right in the middle of the light bulb in it. That was our living room. Then it went into the kitchen, and they put another drop socket in there with a light bulb on it, and it went over to the wall and went down, and they put a receptacle at the end of right at the end of the wire. That was the house.
So it's basically like running an extension cord in your house to plug some stuff up to.
Absolutely. That's all there was to it. But anyway, that's just a little bit of background of what was going on. And
so 4 years old, you're listening to that
4
opera.
or 5. I can't remember exactly when we lived there, but it was when I was either 4 or 5. The school bus, I remember clearly from that place, walking up to the road with my siblings and watching them, my older siblings, watching them get on the school bus before I was ever in school. So you start at 6. I know it was 5. It couldn't have been no later than 5. And as early possibly as 4. I want to think it was 4 because I think I started school at the next house we moved to. But I just thought that was just the grandest thing there was. And people saying,
where was this at?
Providence community.
In Providence.
Yeah, are you familiar with the layout of the community that Providence? Yeah. You know where Wide and Wild or so? Okay, if you go, that old building's not there.
It's where your mom lived?
Yeah.
Okay, I know where she lived.
Okay, you know, no, that's not the place.
Okay.
If you go north from Y and Y to would you go over the hill there? Would you go down to you got Pond Road turns off to the left.
I know where you used to live there.
On Pond Road, the corner?
Yeah.
Okay, you're going to go 1/4 of a mile further north, and there was a driveway goes up to the Smith place. It's just a long, narrow driveway.
Okay.
Well, that little house was just about what would now be about a block down that little driveway on the right-hand side, and it was just a little shotgun cabin-like thing that we lived in there. But that's where it all started, and after I got up, I did this. I went over. I was going to tell you about that thing at the White County Fair. I had on a pair of old corduroy pants that I hated anyway. Hated them from the time my mama got them till they was trashed. And I'm up on there fixing to sing a Marty Robbins song. I hate being old.
Carmen.
How did you know that?
Because I've heard you sing that song before. It was the first one came to my mind.
I got up on stage and took off singing. Well, it's got a voice break part in it. I can't do it now either. But I had done that perfect every time I ever tried to do it. You know, I get up on the stage. And it's come time to do that. It's a falsetto break. You go in the falsetto part and write it down, you know, and it happens 3 times in the song. Well, that first time I go to hit it, and it just squeaked. It's going, like that, you know, and nothing come out. I ain't never been so embarrassed in all my life. It didn't work, and I'm turning purple. I'm so embarrassed. Well, I keep
the
on.
White County Fair, man.
keep on singing. No, White County Fair. This is a special event.
Oh.
This was some kind of a big thing put on, and it was in that old exhibit building in there.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, we go ahead on it. So time number 2 comes up for me to hit that break. Didn't come out that time either. Well, I'm just dying. And finally, when it come down to the 3rd time, and I literally could feel my pants legs shaking against my legs when I was doing that business. But it come back to the 3rd time, I nailed it, buddy. I put it right down there like it's supposed to. The crowd went crazy, and I've been a nut for it ever since. I ain't never been able to stop.
When that crowd went crazy.
Absolutely. I lost it completely, right?
And that was, you said 16?
At 16.
At 16.
16 years old. I don't know what part of 16 it was,
Yeah.
but I went on after that and went
Now, you may have said it and I missed it. When you had that guitar, when your brother had that guitar, how old were you then when you picked that up?
I want to think I was 14.
14.
Yeah.
So a couple of years in there
Yeah.
before you played that and those people
Oh,
went
yeah. I
wild.
thrashed on that old guitar a long, long time. So I wasn't playing guitar there either. I didn't. But I told you before, you know, I had some reputable people tell me I had no business with a fine instrument in my hands. But the guitar become a feature when, after that, an old friend of mine come by one day and asked me if I wanted to join a band. And I said, well, you know, try. Well, that joining a band back then was like garage bands are today. You know, we was in a band, wasn't doing nothing. And that went on for quite a while there. And we began to pick up playing, like maybe at the fairgrounds or here and there, and just kept on.
And how many of you were there?
3 at first. There was myself, and my buddy was a guitar player, Barney Humphreys. Do you know the Humphreys?
No, I don't.
He played lead guitar, and my cousin Raymond Myers. Do you know Frankie Myers?
Mm-hmm.
That's his father. Raymond, they're my kinfolks. Frankie's grandmother was my mother's sister. But
As most people know, Frankie Mars.
Frankie Mars, Big Frank Mars.
Right. Get your car down there.
But we began to play the VFW club in Searcy and the Old American.
So you had a drummer.
Didn't get no drummer. Didn't have no drummer for
oh wow,
a couple 3 years. It's a 3-piece band, you know, and we played at the VFW, like I said, in the Old American Legion over here, and in little things like whoever wanted us to play anywhere. Then we moved into the big time. We got to playing down in Little Rock at all up and down the old 67 strip. You've heard them talking about
Rock and Roll Highway.
Rock and Roll Highway. Well, we were eventually, before my story's all complete, I did them all. Did the whole Rock and Roll Highway all the way down to 70 in North Little Rock. And the old tin top, top hat, the green door, these are all in Jacksonville.
Okay.
And then the 70 Club down on the corner at just on 70 where 67 ran.
Now, is this still at 16, 17?
No, I would have been in my early 20s at
okay.
the time. Yeah, because I didn't have no trouble getting into the places, so I would have been. I guess I was probably 20 because it seemed to me like I did have to be actually signed into the places at the time with my cousin, which was older than I was. But we played all up and down there. Went to the Lamplighter Club out on Highway 67 up between Bradford and Newport. Then it just kept going on and on. I don't remember the years that any of this occurred, but
talking about Little Rock, when you're playing in that, so you're negotiating and we're going to get paid this night, and you're starting to earn income from it.
No,
not really. Okay, no. That's what I was wondering. Did it amount to anything?
No. Music back then, you either a name or you didn't get paid.
Right.
We play for the door. You know, whatever come in the door. I played for $4 a night.
And a hamburger.
Yeah, or no, with beer. You know, whatever you can drink for $4. You know, and I've done that all over the place, and getting started. You know, but it teaches you. That's the dues paying part of the business. That's where you
do the work.
You do the grunt work. You know, before you get to the heavies. Well, I'd been doing that a good long time. I was probably in my late 20s, I guess, and was still trashing around all over the place at the time, and leaving and coming back to going off and doing work and coming back and getting back into it and doing this and that and the other, Well, a fellow named, you probably know the name, Wayne Wright. Have you ever heard of him?
Yep, I know him. I do know him.
Wayne was a sales manager for several local radio stations. He moved from one to the other.
Oh, I didn't know he used to
around here. And this was, now I'm jumping way up into the early 70s, the beginning of the 70s. He and I were kind of, he had a band at times and was singing around, and whatnot. Well, we were kind of professional rivals at the time in a cute kind of way. He made the statement one time, I couldn't hit a low note, my life depended on it, And oddly enough, I skipped a lot of years in there because, quite frankly, I don't remember what all I was doing in that time. And it was in and out of the business too, going and coming back. But
so during that time, though, real quick, during that time, are you thinking this is fun and I'm loving this? Or are you thinking I need to get a break, I need to make it? Or are you just thinking I'm enjoying it?
I'm thinking I'm doing this, but all the time you're reaching out, you're trying to how do you do this? How do you get the connection that's going to get you there? And was going through all that at the time. Well, Wayne, my old rival, approached me one day and he said they're having a contest at Ball Knob High School. It's a Grand Ole Opry's 50th anniversary contest. Said, you need to get in it. Well, that's the first time he'd ever even come close to passing a compliment my way about anything.
Yeah.
And he said,
that was his way of it.
Yeah. He said, you can win this thing. And I'm thinking, that guy sings too. Why would he get me to come in here and do this unless he's actually got some kind of faith in what I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
Well, shorten the story down some, we go and they have the little contest there in Ball Knob, and I won it on a comeback. Young lady from Ball named Mary Kay Jones. We tied the first time around. She got the same amount of votes as I did. Well, we came back out, and I was prepared to do the third song. Had old Alan Yarbrough, a good friend of mine, was picking the guitar. He knew exactly what I was going to do. She didn't have that. The girl could out-sing me anytime, But she come back out, and I beat her out in that second time out. Well, the winner of that local contest, they sent a tape to Ralph Emery in Nashville, and he judged the locals who would go to the regionals. Well, I get picked to go to the regional out of that contest in Dallas, Texas, and there were 7. Each state had one entry. There were 7 states involved: Arkansas, Texas, the region right around Texas and Dallas there, even up to Nebraska. They had the one come down there from Nebraska. But I won that one outright. Went up there and I blew that one away. Then that qualified me to go to Nashville to the Grand Ole Opry and appear on the Opry in the finals of that thing against 7 regional finalists.
Who had won their region?
Right, every region around. Yeah, they come from. We had even had some singers in that thing from Canada. Well, not so lucky that they only had a winner. There was no such thing as second place. And
how old are you there?
It was in 1975 when that took place. So I would have been, count that up right real quick.
30?
Right around that, somewhere.
Around there.
In the 30s, someplace or another. But there was only the one winner, and I pinned that dude's collar up. He was wearing an old slick satin shirt, a jacket. Back then, the gold collars was real wide. That style of polyester suits.
Had some flowers on it.
He couldn't get it to stay up. It just laid down. It just fell apart. And I got a pin before he went on and pinned that up where his collar stand up there and looked nice, And he'd written an old junky song about the 50th anniversary of the Grand Ole Opry and had set it to the tune of Johnny Be Good, Well, the guys, when they were telling about what had been accomplished by who sang, that was the only thing I could figure that set him apart from whatever it was. And then the judges who voted for me said, you won that thing outright. Of course, they wouldn't have voted for me. They hadn't thought that, Right. But he said the gimmicker got it for the other guy. Ralph Emery, one of the greatest things that ever happened to me in the business, come over after that was over and said, you be on my TV show anytime you want to. That meant something to me at the time.
Absolutely.
Never went back over there. Well, I went to Nashville lots of times, went to Opry several times, but I never went back to do that because it didn't.
I saw that picture that your daughter had posted that picture of you. I posted it on my Instagram earlier.
Yeah, I saw that where you'd posted. I seen it this morning.
That was probably a pretty special feeling.
Oh, that was. You remember the 4-year-old thing?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm going to wax kind of philosophical here. I honestly believe that when I walked off that stage that day, I quit. There was no more up.
Because you'd done what that 4-year-old boy wanted to do?
Done what I had set out to do. And I loved it for several years after that and did some of the better things I've ever done after that. But there was just something about that was the mountain, you know. And once you stand up there and look around, you know, everything else is down, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And but that's just the thing with me. It's just there because I was.
What song did you sing?
I did 3.
Remember what they
Carmen?
were? Yeah, of course.
And I did Take These Chains by Hank. Brought the house down, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember the 3rd song. I wanted to do Statue of a Fool. That guy that won the contest actually sung it song. It was miserable, I thought. I might be
biased.
But they wouldn't let me do that. Wayne and the people that were managing me at that time said, no, change it up. That they had done it before. And I said, I'd really like to ride the horse that got me here, you know. No, you need to spread out, show your and I honestly don't remember that other song. I did 3, but I don't remember what that one was. But it was, man, you talk about a little country boy feeling proud.
On the Grand Ole Opry, where it's still a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, don't get me wrong. It's still a big deal today to play there.
To the people that know what it is.
But the deal that it was at that time, I mean.
It was monster.
That was the, you know, it's like there wasn't very many shows that even existed. There's no internet. You know, if you're on that stage, that was
to country music thing. That was the end all. That was it. Especially if you come up like I did, you come up where that was. See, when I was a teenager, you know, you didn't hear country music at all. Everything you heard, of course, I turned teens in the 50s, you know. Here comes the Beatles and Elvis Presley and all that. Rock and roll landed. Country was shoved back to the back burner from the middle 40s up until the middle 50s. Country had emerged. Hank Williams had brought it out, you know, and some of the others, Patsy Cline, some of the greats had brought it out to where people was really listening to it. Well, here comes the Beatles and Elvis and all of them and crowded it back out again. It had become back burner. Well, in the 70s, where my heyday actually occurred, 70s, 80s, then the outlaw movement by Waylon and Willie and all that brought just what was, they called it outlaw, but it was just country music. And they brought it back. Well, I landed just as it was making its return and labeled myself outlaw because that's what country was then, and rode that horse, you know, on through all the rest of the things that I did.
Yeah.
And country music ain't never been given a fair shake. And it's because you and I were talking before we started recording here about them hills over the Appalachian Mountains over in the east. It come out of there. And
the other side of Lexington.
Absolutely. East of Lexington, Kentucky. Come from those hills, and it come from hurt. You know, people sung woeful songs, you know, things about sadness and things that hurt them and things that they faced. Well, there's a large group of people who don't, well, I'll give you an example. My nephew loves me, or my niece loves me as much as you can love an uncle, you know. Well, I put an old song on the internet here a while back, just sitting with a picking and put it on there. And she said, I love the song, but you need to do something that's happy, okay? I never was into happy. I mean, literally, I don't care. Up-tempo songs, when I was playing and making my living at doing that, I despise doing anything up-tempo. I'm a corncob country barroom mama drunk singer, you know, and that's what I always appreciated. And that's where it came from. Those people they put that in there, you know. The old man go up on the mountain and get drunk, wouldn't come down for 2 or 3 weeks. And when he did, he'd beat the family half to death, you know. And they had things to cry about. And the only way that they could cry was through the music that they performed. And the whole South, you know, it'd come over into Arkansas too. We had a lot of that background here too. And that's the soul of my music right there is come from the roots of country. Well, today, if you don't sing through your nose and sing about tractors and pickup trucks, you ain't going nowhere. You know, that's
sitting on a tailgate, driving through a field with a dip and a
brewski, drinking your brewski over your dip. You know? But I'm not into that. That's not me, and it's not a whole bunch of country musicians. Let me lay you a story out here. Told you once you got me started, I wouldn't shut up. Vince Gill, I don't remember the dates. That comes from being old too. Did a song called "Nobody Answered When I Called Her Name." You remember that?
Yes, sir.
It's a little old Cersei radio station over here. The guy was listening to that, and the guy played the record for the first time. He said he got a new one. He talked it all up there. First said Vince Gill, "Nobody listened when I called her name," and all that. And he put it on and played it. Well, they have sound effects in radio stations and all that. When the song was over, he made the motion like he'd thrown it, and the break and blast, you know, and he said, "We won't have to listen to that again." Okay. That was the comment that he made. Song won 5 Grammys. Okay. The country music listeners rose up and bought it like crazy, you know, just like they would today. If you put out a country song today,
you just got to get it in front of the people.
You got to hear people. It's what some of the stuff that you're doing, like these young people they're writing these songs, beautiful country songs, but the business crowd them out because they're not happy. You know, they're not happy songs. And some of it will depress you, you know. But
my wife tells me all the time she doesn't, you know, those are sad songs. I'm like, man, sad. They get me fired up.
That's true.
I don't know why.
There you go. I never understood it either, but it goes back to that wailing on the Grand Ole Opry back there, because old Hank, brother, he sung the blues. Now that's all he did. He'd sung sad old songs, broken hearts, mama, you know, all kind of really, really sad stuff. And but I love it.
So when you left that night for the Opry, after that show, what was next from there?
I think at that time probably we had Wayne. Like I said, Wayne was managing me at the time, and he had some gigs laid out. We went to travel all over Louisiana. I played up nearly every place in Louisiana, and down through West Mississippi, and even up in some northeastern Texas. And
any of Alabama, like that Muscle Shoals area? Did you ever?
No, never got over there. Never sung a song in Oklahoma. Really, really weird, but I never sung a song in Oklahoma. From up to Nebraska, that little place called, that was a good one. That's a whole nother story. Niobrara Valley Steakhouse in Spencer, Nebraska. Population 210. Okay. You ever been up there?
Pangburn's a metropolis, 601 compared to that.
That's what I'm talking about. You go out across northern Nebraska, and it's just rolling.
I've never been across Nebraska.
You got to go see that. And over there, 4 or 5 miles, you see a silo and a windmill sticking up there. You know, houses ain't tall enough to stick up over nothing. But you see that, and you go another 10 miles, you see another one. Over there, 3 or 4 miles, you see them along the side of the road. Well, we're going into that place on a old tour bus.
That's what I was about to ask you. So y'all are on a tour bus?
Yeah, we're big timing in. We're touring around all over the place. We cruising into Spencer, and past that sign said population 210. We get down there, and when you enter Spencer, you can see the other end down there. You know, when you look in, you're looking out the other end on that. Well, I'm thinking, what in the world they booked us into up here? There ain't no place to play here. Well, we go down there right in the middle of that little row of buildings on the right-hand side of the street, and right in the middle of them, the Niobrara Valley Steakhouse. Come find out it took up all them buildings. The whole thing was restaurant down there. I guess you'd say it's a club or whatever in the restaurant. Well, we go park the old bus and get all fixed up for our stay in there and go down to the Niobrara Valley Steakhouse. You go in that door, and this thing is a 3-level theater restaurant, okay? The first row helped more people than Spencer did. So I'm thinking that it's something.
It didn't all come from here.
They hauling folks in here, or something. But we get in there, and the first one we start out playing on Monday. Played eight days, I believe, on Monday night, and of course I'm doing a long time forgotten, outlaw stuff. Well, we got probably 50 couples sitting in there, and I'll never forget the women, the old silver-haired women, sitting up there eating salmon with eyes in them, And I'm thinking, this just ain't going to work. This just ain't going to get it.
This ain't my gig.
About the second song, I'm looking up there and I'm seeing knees begin to bounce and feet patting, whatnot. And I thought, we might have something going here. The last 3 nights we were there, we didn't have a place to sit down when the band took a break. That place packed out. I know it held somewhere between 300 and 500 people in there, somehow or other.
Yeah.
And when we took a break, we couldn't sit down. There was no place other than you just sit down on the stage. It was slam full.
Because the word had kind of traveled, and then the weekend came.
I want to think that. That's, they heard, well, Austin's here, we're all going. But we did a farthest, that was a tradition to the people there, identify the farthest drive to get there, 120 miles. 120 mile drive in there to see some yokel
Spencer.
From Providence, Arkansas.
Providence. From White County.
On the way back, we was somewhere, I don't even remember where we were going at the time. But up in we were still in Nebraska someplace, another temperature about 115 degrees outside. Air conditioner went out on the little bus. Well, old James Selvage over here me and him was bunked in the very back of the bus. And when I laid down there and went to sleep, I didn't know the air conditioner had gone out. It did it while we was laying there asleep. Well, he and I rolled over to face each other at the same time, across that aisle in that bus, and looked up at old James, racked up on his elbow and said, "This is where we're women, ain't it?" We were big timers, buddy. I ain't kidding you. We had it made. But those were the days we traveled around, and then.
What's the furthest that way you went? The furthest west you went?
I performed in Las Vegas a couple times. Quite by accident, but it was there. No, I was trying to remember, did South Missouri, man, I don't remember. There's too many places and too many faces between here and there. But a lot of club work, and it's all about all we did then. I did a concert down in actually Downville, Louisiana. That's another place that's about a population 110 or something like that. But they did a Bryan Meatpacking Company put on an outdoor concert down there with
and
Waylon.
This is where?
This is Downville, Louisiana, right outside Farmville,
Gotcha.
Louisiana. And they had Waylon Jennings was the headliner. Tried to get Willie, and he had a crossed engagement. We had them both down there. Waylon was headliner, him and Jesse Coulter. Hank Jr. was there. David Allen Coe. Jerry Jeff Walker. I want to think Charlie Daniels was there, but I'm not really sure about that. I don't really remember. Probably tell you who would know. Eddie Simmons would know. An old friend of mine, he was there. Who's the fiddle player from Louisiana? Old crazy fiddle player. Turned me against him that day. Doug Kershaw.
Oh, Kershaw.
Are you old enough to remember him?
I know Doug Kershaw.
Yes, he used to play, and when he got done, he'd horsehair all over his bows. I just loved that guy. I always thought he was the greatest thing since sliced bread, And down at that concert, I met him backstage, and walked up and introduced myself. I started to say, I've been a fan of yours ever since I was a little boy, which I had been, He reached over and punched me, dodged my hand and punched me in the chest and said, "Tell everybody." I thought, well, no, I don't think so.
Not now.
Not now. No way. And he just turned me completely off,
Yeah.
But why would you do that? What?
People, I think, honestly, they forget where they came from.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not that they're, and you see it happen a lot now. It's not that they came from that, and that's how they always. I think they just kind of forget where they came from.
Or get to maybe imagine themselves a little outside their own shell or something.
Yeah.
I met some really humble, good people in that business. And I'm talking about some of them that had made big names for themselves, to the genuine, just genuine people. And but boy, there's some trash in there too.
Yeah.
Some serious trash. He's one of them, as far as I'm concerned.
Now, if you had it to go back and do again, to start from, 20 playing in Jacksonville and Little Rock and all that, from there forward, would you change anything about it? Would you do any of it different, or would you do it just like you did it?
I don't think so. I think for me, that dream played out just like I needed it to play. I wouldn't have known how to handle success any earlier than when what little of it I actually got there, because and I didn't like the business. I don't like the business today, although it's changed quite a bit with the internet. You can do pretty much whatever you want to. There's not a whole lot of regulations. You can make it if you can make it. You can make it.
If your stuff's good,
you couldn't do that then. You had to go and tug the right shirt tail, and then do whatever they tell you to do. And I couldn't do that.
Now, weren't you offered? I've heard this story, and I don't know if this is exactly how it went, but I heard that after that deal at the Opry, after you played there, that you were offered a record deal.
Absolutely was. There was a man that lived in Heber Springs, Arkansas. He was I don't remember his name, but he was a stereotypical country producer with a cigar stub in his mouth, big fat red-headed dude. He'd have gone about 400 pounds and was smoking an old stogie when I got in there. Well, Wayne and I went up to visit him. He had seen me perform at Heber Springs at an outing up there that we had done, and he called us in there to interview us about. He had been a very successful producer, as it turns out, in Nashville and Detroit and in Los Angeles. And anyway, we go to sit down with him and introduced himself, and all this. And he starts out telling me that where he'd seen me. And he said, young man, you have the talent to make it in this business. But he said, there's some things you need to know. Said, Wayne and I have talked, and he said, Wayne tells me you've got a family and 2 little boys, Josh and Cole, just babies at the time. Well, you can remember when all this just about went down, probably. You weren't paying attention to what's going on around, right. But you do remember that area. And, well, no, you'd have been too small. But anyway, he sat down there and he said, you should pay attention to what I'm going to tell you. He said, I can put you 2 songs in the top 20 in 6 weeks. Now let that soak in, okay? He said, I will guarantee to have you 2 songs in the top 20 in 6 weeks if you sign this contract. But he said, first I want you to know what's in this contract. Then he started calling off things. He said, everything. He told me first, he said, the contract, it was kind of a weird number, like 37 point something percent. I don't know. It's crazy. I had always heard it, a third, 30% is what generally you got for a personal manager, and that's what he was going to do, and he was going to produce me too. But it was 30-something%. He said that I'm going to get that right off of the top of every dime that's made in your name for the duration of this contract. He said it's a 5-year contract with a 2-year option. He said that option's mine. It's not yours. He said if you're still selling records or selling tickets at the end of 5 years, I'm going to hold you 2 more years. You're going to be bound up for 2 more years. And he told me what all he's going to take out. And he said, it comes out of the growth. He said, it'll come out of the net. He said, it comes right off the top. Wherever a dime turns in your name, 30, whatever it was, percent, I get.
So it's not of the profit.
No.
It's
the growth. Yeah, whatever the growth.
Whatever the income, right. Money that comes in.
Absolutely. Well,
if you do a show and it brought in $5,000, but you got to pay lighting and all that, he gets 30% of $5,000, and you can deal with the lighting.
He certainly does, and he made that very clear. The old man was very succinct in what he was telling me. And he goes on. He said, "Now, when you do a record, you're going to promote it. You're going to be where I tell you to be. You're going to look like I tell you to look. You'll sing like I tell you to sing." And he goes on telling me about all this kind of stuff as we go further down, what all I'm going to do, And he said, if I tell you to take dope, you'll take it. He said, if I tell you not to take it, you won't take it. You'll drink if I say so, and you won't drink if I say so. All right. And he goes on and telling all that kind of stuff. And he said, if you do, he said, you broke my contract, I'll own everything you got for the rest of your life. Okay. And he's telling me like I'm telling you, kind of barking it at me, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm thinking, good Lord. He goes on and he said, you're going to pay sound and stage was something like 30% more or something. But anyway, he goes and lists the things that's going to come out of the money I get, and it comes to about 160%.
You're thinking, I'm going in the hole
like,
here.
Wait a minute. And he even said that, you know, he said,
and I still got to do what you say.
right. And he said, when you finish this contract, he said, you're going to owe every SOB you see. Said, you're going to owe money. Then he told me about the Mexican dude that made the big hit back, Johnny Rodriguez. Okay. Mm-hmm. He said, look at Johnny Rodriguez. I'm going to give you an example. Said he's got a 5-year contract. He got just exactly the contract I'm trying to offer you, maybe with some little variances. He said, the kid ain't good enough to sell songs for any length of time. He said, you watch him at the end of 5 years, he's gone. Well, I did. I got to watch him after the fact. I got
mm-hmm.
paid close attention to him. He went just like he said. He come back with a couple of records after that had no promotion, nothing behind him. He's trying to do it on his own at the time.
Mm-hmm. With no internet.
And Johnny Rod went away. You know, he
mm-hmm.
just vanished. He said, that's the way they all do it. He said, now you count up the stars in the country music business on your fingers. Said, show me. Count them. Call them off and show me. Well, I'm going Merle Haggard, George Jones, Tammy Wynette, you know, Loretta Lynn. Now get another, you know, mm-hmm. Another one. And pretty soon I'm out of people and I still got fingers left, you know. He said, those are the odds. Did that mean something we're supposed to
Nope. No, we're
duck
good.
or something?
No, we're good.
He said, those are your odds. If you can do that, you got it made.
That's just the beginning of this episode. Make sure to find part 2. This was part 1. Go look for part 2, and there's much more to come.